All right, I wanted to talk really quick about the whole debate that occurred between the State Department and one of the reporters that was asking them to basically expand on this idea that they claimed, the State Department is claiming that Russia is planning a quote false flag operation, basically to justify an invasion of Ukraine. And one of the reporters confronted the State Department and kind of said, "You're getting into Alex Jones territory, aren't you?" This was really fascinating to me, this entire conversation, because it's classic mirroring and deflection, but they're super clever about it anytime it comes to anything that touches upon the NATO mission and Nazism. And it's a really misunderstood thing, I think, that a lot of people don't seem to understand, that a lot of NATO's activities don't really have a whole lot to do with the individual nations and is much more to do with extending an agenda that was a lot closer to the long-term goals of the Third Reich. All right. So NATO as a whole, I'm not sure, I think, and a lot of people agree with this, represents America's interests. And then when you dig past that and everything like that, guys, you can just kind of tell that nobody really wants this. It keeps getting pushed for. I think even the Ukrainians, by and large, are kind of like, no, this is, why? And Ukraine actually has a lot of problems with this. A lot of the same thing that we have going on in the United States, where there's a sort of, hidden Nazi presence that runs around kind of like calling everybody else Nazis, claiming that everybody else is using their very own tactics. And so it was very strange to me that a State Department that actually has legal authorization within the United States via the National Defense Authorization Act and an update and extension and a revision of what was called the Smith-Mundt Act of 2012, these are all things that were used to create propaganda. You can look these things up on Wiki. I've done many, many articles. It would take a few hours to really talk about it in detail. But there is an ecosystem within the United States through which you can hire a series of actors, producers, special effects teams to quite literally manufacture an entire event that gets syndicated within our mainstream media news cycle. Rinse, repeat, everybody can consistently will repeat the narratives that are completely false or mix quite a bit of reality with the fiction. What would be the point of that? The point of these things is always to take the truth and completely obfuscate it to where people who only have a surface level understanding won't get it at all. The Nazism, for example, they almost always will call people that are patriots or conservatives Nazis, whereas the actual fascists are the ones drawing that attribution to people that are just simply patriotic, community-based, care about their country, whatever it is. They really love to apply this false fascism, false Nazi, false white supremacist label. That is a Nazi tactic. Modern Nazis are blending in to social justice movements, and they are actors. They are professional actors. By trade, it is their life, it is their job. It is their jobs to go from role to role, just like movie actors do. But see, they're engaged in something that's far less known to the public. Their entire existence is reality manifestation, creating narratives that we believe, we accept, but simply are not true. What is the point of this? Again, the point of false flags, the point of these live action role plays, is to take all elements of truth and obfuscate them to where people who have a base level understanding don't get it. They really want to confuse things historically to where when you go back and review things, you're going to see tons and tons of mainstream press articles that are supporting a completely false narrative. That creates the impression through historical records when you're looking back and trying to understand what happened, you're just seeing an entire flood of falsified opinions, falsified articles coming from the same central think tank. So it's ironic that a State Department that via the Smith-Mundt Act of 2012 and the National Defense Authorization Act has authorization to create propaganda using crisis actors, is making this claim about Russia, but would call you a conspiracy theorist if you ever so much as suggested that these things happen on U.S. soil and do frequently. Well, that's where I'm different, ladies and gentlemen. I literally have researched the crisis actor economy. I have an aunt that was a former Department of Justice Cybercrime Division attorney in Seattle. She was actually kind of closely connected to Jenny Durkin, the mayor, well, now no longer mayor of Seattle because her term ended December 2020. But, she was behind the Chaz thing during the BLM Antifa riots that happened in Seattle, basically hiring a former pimp to be a street czar, offering to give a police precinct over to BLM, things of this nature. These are all from the playbook of this sort of absurdly, not really liberal, but wants you to believe it's a representation of things that are sort of, Democrat and liberal in nature. Taking the other person's position, making it look ridiculous, and representing it as whatever, okay? I guess what I'm trying to help people understand is that in America, the frequent role of the LARP, of the false flag, is to create the illusion to you that the Nazis are the people that are defending America, when in all actuality, they are the ones that have created this narrative. They are the ones that are raging in the streets, fighting the power. Sorry, guys, this is just the reality. That's the actual Nazis. They're not the people that are patriotic and wearing American flags. Quite frequently, the Nazi actors, the people that are from those bloodlines, will run out there with Confederate flags and Nazi flags going and talking all kinds of nonsense that the rest of the crowd's going, who are you even? They're the faux liberal, faux Nazi. Nothing about these people is an actual position. Their entire existence via the false flag economy is to confuse you. I've just simply been one of the very few people that can say, yeah, I got an aunt that's in the DOJ. Her sister was a co-owner of a crisis actor company. I can see a lot of the events the DOJ put out as press releases were phony. So you can imagine that when I look at all these things that are going on globally, and I can tell some of them are faked, I'm going, hold on a second. I actually know somebody that could make these things a reality. It doesn't mean they do. But once you become aware of that, you've got the business records, you've got them planning their scheduling, their training sessions, you've got them talking to the press about the things that they know and the techniques that crisis actors use. You're going, this is happening. It's just always being misapplied. That is by design.